Right, yeah. No, you're allowed to be wrong, Mox. Like, be wrong as much as you want. That's okay. It's a regular thing around here, folks.
Welcome to Disparate Worlds, where an irresistible force meets an immovable object. I'm Mox, and this is Sechari, and we are comparing and contrasting the worlds of Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, and Ashes of Creation.
Yes, that we are doing. Welcome to you, friends. Hello. Good to have you here. Welcome, of course, to episode 26, where, tell 'em, Mox.
Where we finally will have the answer to Togglegate. What is
Right.
what is the
That wasn't in
outcome
the
of
notes.
Togglegate? I know, I have to ambush you with something.
I thought I'd surprise him, but he was ready for me. Dang it. Hate it when that happens. Yes, the toggle gate. We had an interesting discussion on this last episode.
We had really good Discord. To be honest with you, it was really good comments and back and forth. And, a couple things we didn't put in our show notes. We do need to mention that that I was like adamant this can't be in there, but apparently it's a test thing. Like they're going to test it in the next, like, kind of over the course of the next sessions or two, and see kind of where people lie and kind of what comes of it, so to speak. So there really isn't a toggle gate yet. So it's
right,
it's
only,
pending.
it's only toggle when it hits the actual game.
Right, exactly.
And we have to live with it.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens. I do have to say that I am always for gathering of information. And since I did not know that it was just a like kind of a testing and see where what people think and do thing, then I'm all for gathering of information.
Right. Yeah. No, you're allowed to be wrong, Mox. Like, be wrong as much as you want. That's okay. It's a regular thing around here, folks. So yes, back to episode 26, which of course is this one. Do the like and subscribe thing, please. We would love to have you join our little journey here.
Right.
This episode, we will cover Pantheon's August 2021 producer's letter in a little bit more detail, but we're going to try not to make it a long episode.
Yeah, we're going to...
Challenge accepted, Mox.
We're going to talk about some maths here.
Yeah, you know us, we get long-winded very fast.
Well,
so
like adding in of minus.
Yes,
it's a little bit of math. Minus. Yeah, so we'll talk about that.
I think those cancel each other out, if I recall. So they have made a net nothing.
I would disagree. I think it's a positive gain, and I'm sure you mean that too.
Yes, of course. Yeah. No. Yes, it's a joke, people.
Yes.
Come on. So yes, let's start with some news. Mox, what do you have for us in Pantheon?
So in Pantheon World, there was a Halnir Cave montage that was put out. We all know that Ko did a stream last month with of Halnir Cave, and he had some adventures with some of the people from the Pantheon staff. But the Pantheon staff put together a kind of a montage from their point of view, like what was going on and all. So it's a real short deal, 5 minutes. We'll have a link to it. Definitely check that out.
Minus did it. I need to throw that out there.
Yeah,
that is a Minus production. So
right.
congratulations.
Right. Yeah,
very cool.
And then obviously what the majority of this episode will be about, the August producer's letter came out. It was a bit of a long read, but we will touch on it shortly.
Yes. Yeah, we intend to for sure.
Yeah.
In the world of Ashes, we're going to try to make this news section very quick. New chat log on August 19th. They were showing that off on Twitter, so do check that out. Mox, we're actually seeing some channels now, whereas beforehand we weren't.
Right. I mean, you had like general chat in your pre-alpha testing, right?
Well, so you could in the testing you could slash private message, right? The PM, I think, whatever it was.
Right.
It was sesh W, I think it is what it is.
Whisper.
So you could speak privately to somebody. There was no guild chat. Right. Everything was just kind of and there was /say, right? You could speak to people locally and globally, but no guild chat. And they'll have a channel for Siege, channel for Guild, a log window, which I imagine is probably all just system messages kind of.
Yeah, probably like, you stab for 42 points. You were hit for 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then party chat, too. So good to see that. I hope that it also allows for the creation of your own, like, kind of custom tabs. I've come to like that in my MMOs, having, like, you know, a chat channel for just a small group of friends or...
Guild officers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to break things down sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah, fully
exactly.
agree.
You don't need the officers here and, like, the officers complaining and all that stuff about the members.
Right. Yes, indeed. Oh, the fun joy of guild leadership, indeed.
Yep.
So yeah, August 24th, the Death's Hand costume. Just a picture on that. Do you like mer people, Mox?
I mean, I don't mind merfolk, but this
it's got a very under the sea vibe to it to me.
I don't know. I just don't like this. I'm trying to figure out why. I don't know if it's like above the bodice. Like, is that part of the costume, or is she like gaunt and is it like those her ribs, like or bones? I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Maybe tattoos underneath. I don't know.
I just does not appeal to me.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. They put out enough, sets of armor that it's bound to happen that people aren't going to like.
How dare they make something Mox doesn't like? Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, certain things are going to appeal and certain things are not. Right. The mask is interesting to me. We've seen Steven wear the mask in something before, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. Like, it looks like high-waisted jeans.
It reminds me of, was it Darth Nihilus in Star Wars, the mask?
Yeah, maybe that's what it...
without the prongs, but just the face part and the forehead part. It reminds you that mask that Darth Nihilus wears.
Yeah, this our inner Star Wars fandom is coming out, so we can't escape it, guys. I'm so sorry.
Exactly.
So anyway, and then August 27th, which is in the future. We're recording this on the 24th, but I imagine by the time this episode goes live, they will have done their August live stream.
Yep.
So we're gonna tune in, see that. I imagine if there's anything newsworthy, that will make up our next episode.
Right.
So stay tuned, and if we launch an episode on that, you know that we thought it was newsworthy.
Right.
Here's hoping. I like good things to talk about.
I hope it's newsworthy as well. So, we got a August 2021 producer's letter from the Pantheon studio, and it was beefy. Like, there was a lot of stuff in there. There was a revealing of, as we've alluded to, the addition of Minus from the Pantheon Plus community. As an associate content creator, and he's already made his mark. I've seen there's a gaming as a family segment in the newsletter that he did with Ben Kilson, and the video that we've already mentioned. So first of all, congratulations, Minus, from us to you. We hope our intimate friendship with you will allow us access to many beans in the future.
Yes, beans that come out of Minus. They're negative beans.
Yeah.
All of the negative stuff we want to come from Minus.
So, what did you think of the new format or expanded format of the newsletter?
It was long. I think if Minus's job is to make sure that there's a lot of content, kind of, I don't know. I'm taking a total guess. I have no idea what his job is to do. Right? What's in his description, but I imagine part of that is just a constant feed of good information to us. This could probably have been segmented into 3 or 4 different things. Right?
Probably,
there's a lot here.
There is.
Just take, for instance, patch notes. Right, I think that could have been a post on its own.
Right.
Not that, granted, you can go over a post and decide what you read and what you don't read. It's no big deal. But
right.
There was a lot here, and that's fair.
But if the goal is to keep Pantheon kind of in people's view, then having multiple posts might be better versus having one ginormous post.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe if you have less time, a big, long, daunting post makes you think, okay, I'll leave this for later. If it's short, you take a second and read it, kind of a thing. So maybe.
Valid.
I don't know.
Yeah. But the biggest, there are 2 big sections they had in there that are worthy of being covered. First of all was the latest pre-alpha session. They kind of talked about what was in there and what was added to that, and then the update on their roadmap to alpha. So let's first of all talk about this 33-hour testing session that they had at the end of July.
Okay, which we can, of course, only imagine.
Right.
Because I believe you are scheduled to be in alpha. Once that happens, you'll be in on the testing, right, after that.
Right.
I am working on getting there. Not there yet, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So right now we have to take them at their word, and I really imagine what a lot of this looks like. So
yeah, I mean, we saw a little bit of it in the co-stream.
Yes,
and they talked about it, but the big things I think are, first of all, the full implementation of the monk. Like that is the monk is pretty much done. That class is looking great. Yeah,
I mean, it really is looking great.
I agree. I think that barring changes to or advances in their technology, kind of like what they said that like having the changes they made for the monk class, opening up the opportunity to go back to other classes and implement other changes to those, which is, I think that's the major stuff I think we'll see with the monk change, is if something different comes, like perhaps then maybe they'll get a thrown weapon now that they're working on those.
Yeah, well, so Co mentioned, hey, I wish I had a throwing weapon, and they said stay tuned.
Yeah.
Right, we're working on the piece that we need to get the Ranger together, but that we will introduce a lot of the functionality to facilitate that, and that's when we'll revisit some of these other classes, and you'll see things like throwing weapons appear in additional skills. You said, and it was actually very good, Marks, that means that it's coming soon. And I thought, okay, let me keep an eye on that just to see if your prediction was right. Turns out you're spot on.
Yeah.
So we're going to see some Rangers soon,
exactly.
But that's a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. They added 100 new abilities and statuses added throughout the game, each with, like, a lot of them they said have unique visual effects, so that's good to hear. Specifics to classes, it's in the show note, like the notes. I don't think we need to list like the everything that they have for each class, but the Enchanter, Dire Lord, Shaman, and Wizard all got like some kind of love.
Yes.
So
additional skills, including the spell turn. We discussed that in a previous, I think in our last episode, right? The ability to for 15 seconds, pick up whatever it was about to be launched and launch it back at them.
Right. So. Oh, and apparently, my understanding of that encounter from the alpha session or the testing session was incorrect. Apparently, the group didn't realize what was going on, stacked up a bunch of stuff, and got totally annihilated. Was the actual. So I don't know how I misinterpreted that, but hey, I'm allowed to be wrong. Sechari gave me carte blanche.
Permission.
He gave me carte blanche to be wrong, apparently. So it's all good. So I like I like the stuff that they're listing there. I do. One thing I do want to mention, the radiate heat, the damage shield for the wizard.
Is a wizard skill.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Right.
Like, the squishy ones need something to dissuade things from hitting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then diminishing returns is going to be a thing for CC effects specifically. Like if you stun and stun and stun with the same effect, it's going to the duration is going to reduce it to eventual nothing.
Yes, it'll be ineffective. So that means you have to think laterally a little bit, right? So instead of just we'll reuse the strategy, you have to have contingency plans, something else that you got ready, another ace in the pocket, in the hole, kind of, so you can deal with it. Because diminishing returns, that's very cool. I love that they've just some minor thing there makes everything a lot more challenging.
Right. And
you have
so
to
you
be ready for
so you can mez, and then maybe mez a second time, but the third time comes around, you need to maybe think about, all right, now do I stun, do I root, do we off tank, like what's the plan going to be?
Right.
Once we get past that, because it maybe the first mez might be for a minute, and the second one might be 30 seconds. So then you're getting dire to where it's going to be probably much less than 30 seconds, 15 or so. So yeah, but I think that's all good because it makes you again think on your feet, and this goes into that combat that's not twitchy and fast, but more a thinking type of combat.
Yeah, it's a challenge in that. It's got to be strategized, right? And even though a lot of it's really tactics, you have to make decisions kind of right in the spur of the moment.
Right.
But you got to make sure going into the situation you have everything in your tool belt to be able to do that.
Exactly.
Or else you'll I imagine have to fight the hard way. That's not easy to do in this game.
All right, so number 6 in here. I'm curious if you've ever encountered this. This was an EverQuest thing. Enemies fleeing at low health is now built into the global core of NPC behavior. So basically, you beat the monster down, and it gets to a point where it's going to turn around and start like running or walking away from you, depending on how they have it set.
Right.
In EverQuest, you had to be very careful to make sure that the groups around, like, it didn't walk into another group.
Yes, because it would aggro everything else.
Right.
Absolutely.
So have you encountered this in games you've played?
No, not this. The closest I ever came was when I did not quite understand how the fear mechanic worked, and I feared something into another group, and
Awesome.
and everybody was like, "Okay, we've got to teach you how this, how to control fear."
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's and it's built into every one of them.
Right.
So that means what happens is that you have to kind of like a priority, right? Like you have to focus down.
Right.
Anybody that gets to the 10%, 15% trigger, when they turn and try to save their lives and run,
you need to root them, snare them, slow them, whatever you need to do. Yeah. Now, undead won't do this because obviously they're mindless, and then bosses won't do it either. So,
right.
So the
bosses are challenging in their own other ways.
Exactly,
so, yeah.
Exactly. So I do like that they added this in. It's very sentimental to me that they're bringing this back from EverQuest, and it again adds in a level of challenge, which is good.
Yes,
I'm all for that. So if this kind of stuff, if this kind of challenge, speaks to you, definitely check out the Pantheon pledge page. There's information in the newsletter that we'll have a link to in our description.
Yes. Okay, so Mox, now in the next section of this was the roadmap to Alpha. Mm-hmm. They're just reporting on their progress, things that they've done, and we have already mentioned the monk. Right, the monk is out there. Right. It's nice and shiny. They've showcased it a lot. Mm-hmm. It's looking great. Can you tell us some more about the ranged things that are on the horizon?
The ranged combat system is apparently fully implemented with the combat animations about half done. I mean, a little less than half done.
Okay.
It says the current animations include arrow retrieval from the quiver, bow drawing, bow firing, shot recovery, combat, non-combat locomotion with the bow, and a few special attacks. So probably just the remainder of the special attacks to do, and I'm not sure what else.
Now, so yes, there is that to do, but put it on pause, right? Because now, I imagine there's probably some aspect of the Ranger that's going to be a Beastmaster kind of thing, right? And we've seen this in other MMOs where a Ranger will have a pet tiger, right? Or a wolf or something along with, And so that means that in order to fully flesh out their class, I haven't seen this in these notes, right? The Ranger is expected to have a pet.
Right.
But they immediately start talking about pets. So I wonder, that makes me think, okay, well, pets are relevant to the Ranger, and I would have those expectations. I think they'd be reasonable. Mm-hmm. Right, but there is for pets, and there was something else. I think it was the rest of the Ranger stuff. They couldn't quite get there yet.
Right,
and the summoner as well.
Class, right,
and that makes sense, right? Because if the summoner is going to summon spirits or creatures or something, right? So now we have to get pets done, right? That now matters.
Right,
it's relevant. And then also once they've got that functionality, then they can start adding pets to some of the NPCs.
Right.
So they have to kind of go back and revisit. So. Yeah. But in order to do that, they had to kind of put things on pause and visit the HDRP and the network phase of development.
Right, and they had talked about this back when in March when this first was released. They had said there will come a point in this roadmap when they work on the network and the hardware, and when they do that, expect it to be quiet for a little bit.
Yeah.
They said this is good news, bad news. That the Rangers, the finishing of the Rangers on hold, but that's the bad news. The good news is that as soon as they're done this, they should be able to kind of crank out the balance of the Ranger, the Cleric, the Paladin, and the Warrior, and we should be hearing information about those shortly, about the kind of the order that they're going to be done, and then they should, again, when they announce a class, they kind of move quickly to kind of like, boom, it's here. Like, I think they wait until they're near ready with it to announce it. Like it's coming soon. So then within the next few weeks, you hear like it's done and you'll see it soon. Mm-hmm.
So now, real quick, so what is required on the networking side? Who knows, right? Because that's just now Pantheon and Marx. You and I have spoken about this kind of in depth before, like compared. Visionary Realms compared to Intrepid tends to be they show you this stuff, right? They show you a developer in his tools, chaining things together. You get some of that technical view, whereas the eye candy, right, is all Intrepids. they show you nice, bright, gloriously shiny things.
Yeah.
But we go there with Pantheon, right? So the HDRP is the high definition render pipeline. I was like, what on earth is it? Because they don't actually spell it out. And I know in other places they probably have. But just to catch everyone up, in case you're wondering, what does this mean? It's basically graphics. It's the shaders and the lighting units.
Okay.
There is the Unity engine that they're using has some out-of-the-box features. It's this kind of stuff. But there's this added functionality that you can apply, which is this HDRP, which gives them a more capability on the graphics side. Right.
Okay.
So there's that. And then the networking aspect of things gives them the ability really to support and scale to be able to have more sessions concurrent at once, right? They need to be able to do both of those really, of course, to get to alpha, because you invite a lot of people in an alpha. Yeah. And if you don't pay attention to, the graphics on one hand, but then on also the network and the scalability of things, you can't really do an alpha. So at some stage, yes, in the alpha roadmap, they have to do this in order to make, and they mentioned making it so that there wasn't a performance hit when you have all of these people get on. It's required for performance.
Yeah, you don't want to you don't want to say we're going to start our alpha on this date and then everybody log in and have it crash.
Right.
Like that would that would be bad.
And there's no way to recover from it because you just can't support that many sessions.
Right.
So
yeah.
Have at
there
it,
you
right?
go. Several weeks of problems and yeah. So I'd rather them take their time now, be ready for us when the time comes. So
right. And also, right, you're if you're going to have summoners, a lot of people playing summoners and a lot of people playing rangers with their pets, you need to be able to support more entities, right? Acting, commanding, all of those things in group combat. So yes, I mean, now's the time to cross that road before you get back to it.
Right. Because in essence, a pet is an NPC where you have limited control over it. Like you can do some things with it, but obviously you can't control it 100%. But you can tell it go attack that thing, or retreat or whatever the case is. So networking and hardware stuff to come, exciting. The guild management tool has been approved.
There's a lot of other stuff. Yeah, guild management, all for that. I would have loved to see that some in alpha.
I would like Ashes, I'd like to see kind of what they're they have an approved design. What are we looking at? How many people can be in a guild? But I'm sure that will come. Once it's just approved, they probably want to develop it a little bit and then we'll
flesh it out.
Yeah.
Check it for feasibility. I imagine here's the wish list, right? So is this possible? Is the next question. Can we do this?
Exactly.
If they can, but honestly, the moment I see something as the design is complete, that makes me really want to start asking questions. So I'd love at some stage to actually talk about guilds in Pantheon and what are your intentions? What do you have in that design?
Yeah. So this next thing, it kind of makes me smile for you. So I have a friend that played WoW back in the day, vanilla WoW, and he actually made a spreadsheet of every quest that he completed to make sure that he finished every quest. He was the consummate.
Now I think they've got achievos for that, right? There's an achievement.
They do, but look at this. They're going to have some kind of history of completed storylines in this Tome of Keeping, which is also going to keep track of stirrings, which I think has something to do with the perception system. And breadcrumbs. So, if you missed a perception, you can check that, look in there and see where did I get that? The question is, will it mark it on the map for you where it was, or will you have to remember, oh wait, I was in that forest and at the top of this hill and it was, the full moon and when I got this, how detailed.
That perception system, you and I have spoken about this, right? What do you do when you're in combat and something triggers?
Right.
And you don't really have enough time or bandwidth, to be able to pay attention to that.
It could be that there won't be perceptions in combat.
Yeah. Or they fire afterwards or something, right? Yeah, I mean, hopefully. But, I mean, yeah, some perception thing triggers and you don't have the time to visit it right then at that moment.
Yeah.
That is annoying, right? When you end up getting diverted when you've got... Especially if you've got a group and you're planning to do something. So
hopefully this Tome of keeping UI might put a little indicator on your HUD that will tell you, hey, you've received a ping, go back and look at it. So good stuff there. Looks like our friend is still working on gathering and crafting.
Yeah, Nefel, keep at it, brother.
Keep at it, yeah.
We're right behind you.
When you're ready to talk more about it, Nefel, give us a call. We're happy to have you back. So banking system is in there. They're working on acclamations. The one thing I want to get in here, number 14, the LFG tool. They are going to have some level of LFG tool. You
don't have to make friends. It's okay. They'll make friends for you.
That's not true. It's not how any of this works.
Just kidding.
Factions. They're working on factions. So lots of cool stuff. I do like the fact that they've listed out these 21 things and they're kind of ticking them off. And like some of them they're saying in progress. Some of them they're saying approved. Some of them they're saying hey, we still need to work on things like swimming and loadouts and stuff like that. So go in and check it out. Check out this newsletter. Like you said, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. But it's I'm pleased with the list and the progress they've made since March. Like when they announced this in March, and so now we're like at 6 months. We're seeing things done and checked off.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about what's coming. Right, we've seen a lot of humans. We've got there. It's on the to-do list to
males.
Scar, Darkmere.
We haven't seen females.
Right, right, yeah. So we've got to. So they're going to scale some of that. That's going to be great. Player NPC model skeletons, lycanthropes,
right?
Wraiths. You're right. I'm looking forward to seeing some some NPC models that are not quite so humanoid.
Right.
I'm excited to see. But the way that they think about things, that's not just, hey, here's a model and here's its animations.
Right.
There's going to be implications. So I realize it's going to be slow in coming, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. So.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, no, it really looks good to me. There's things coming for zones. Going back over some things. I'm excited about what all this in this. There's a lot. My goodness, there's a lot. The more I just keep scrolling.
I have to say, I have trouble getting excited about the patch notes without Ronik singing to us. So, Ronik, I expect a video clip of you singing the patch notes to us. Thank you very much. I'll be waiting.
Yes, I want a jingle, a patch notes jingle.
Exactly. I don't think there's anything too... The Master Trap Maker is interesting. Support up to 100 traps, like, simultaneously? Or is that 100 different types of traps? Like, I have a poison trap, I have a lightning trap, I have a spike trap, or is it like I have 100 traps around me?
I think 100 traps around you. So the way that they force you to make choices, I don't think 100 traps is something they would put out there. I imagine 100, the ability to do 100 traps is up to 100, right? Yeah. Imagine you have to acquire them all over the place.
Gotcha.
How do you
go ahead.
Right? How do you... It's for NPCs to support up to 100 traps, right? So who knows? But imagine having to design 100 different kinds of traps. So we're talking about poison traps,
snares,
darts coming out of walls, bear traps. What other kinds of traps can you think of?
The trap in your sink.
Right. Yeah.
And then implemented the Thief of Eternity fight mechanics. I think that kind of puts to rest the idea that what we saw might change. I mean, I guess nothing's above change, but I think that what we saw is kind of what that fight is to that point, and there might be more mechanics we didn't get to see since they didn't finish it.
Right. I want to add this as well while it's on my mind before I forget about it. Mm-hmm. The HDRP work that they're doing. Yeah. Is going to help them to get the Grayboxing done, get it out of there, right?
Yeah, that'll be good.
We're actually dealing... I mean, we've seen enough footage where they're in there, they're walking around, it's Grayboxed. You can tell here's what we're intending, right? But the textures aren't in there, and so the ability to scale and do that and actually get rid of that grayboxing, I think is going to be very cool. That's a major milestone.
Absolutely. So all in all, I'm happy with all the information they give. I love the transparency, both studios that we cover. Having all of this, the information, and we're not in the dark until release, and there's no NDAs for Alpha or for Ashes anymore. I'm happy about that. So it's all good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Except where we've said it's not good. Then studios listen to us.
Right. And we know your names.
That's right. No toggles. Say no to toggles.
So, we just wanted to take a second and promote something we have no idea how to promote. Now that I think of it. We have mentioned in a previous episode, I want to mention it again in this episode, we are currently comparing notes with the Pantheon Plus folks and with Nathan Napalm for some kind of New World guild.
Right.
Or guilds. We have no idea. We're trying to put feelers out and find out what people think and gather opinions and compare notes, and there's a conversation going, but we don't know how that's going to shake out. We just have no idea. But there is going to be something.
Right.
So
it's either going to end up being a one guild, but then time zones become an issue, or we're going to end up with a guild on the east and a guild on the west, and kind of that has its ramifications of having a kind of a split community. But sometimes you have to do what you have to do. We'll see how it all works. But we'll know probably more by the time our next episode comes out, I would think.
Yeah, and I would think so too. So what I'm saying is, stay tuned. More news. We still have a little bit of time. I imagine we'll probably have another episode before, at least another episode before we actually get to the launch of New World. So we will keep you guys informed. But we would love to have you join us, whatever that means.
Right. Join our Discord, because that's if anything, that's going to be the first place where the information is disseminated.
Yes, absolutely.
That being said, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Disparate Worlds. Our Twitter is @Disparate Worlds, and our website is disparateworlds.org. In addition, as I mentioned, please join us on Discord. We have lots of fun over there, at least try to. So,
yes, and now with some of those Pantheon Plus folks in there, it's ticked up, so there's some conversation going. That's great. All of that said, that is it for us this episode. Thank you guys for watching and for putting up with our terrible jokes. Always a pleasure. We would love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Don't forget to do the like, the subscribe. There's a notification bell, of course, where you do not miss upcoming episodes. Take care of yourselves. Remember, friends, always to be immovable in your principles and irresistible in your passion.